Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast, featuring James Creviston and Luke LaCoy. Yeah, we're about to get clean up in here, so clean your mouth out with a bar of soap and get ready for the Clean Comedy Podcast.
Start
All
to the
right.
cloud. All right, here we go. Give me a second. I'll meet you, and then I'll meet you and join. Here we go. Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Clean Comedy Podcast. I'm James Creviston. Today, I'm here with my favorite co-host, actually my only co-host, Mr. Luke LaCoy.
That's right. I guess I am your favorite co-host.
You are my favorite co-host. You're the only co-host, I guess. I mean, well, we had Jason Brown for a while. I had to substitute him in, but no one's seen him in a while. I think he disappeared into the vastness that is LA.
Isn't he running for president or something? Or wasn't that the problem?
Right now, probably anybody can run for president. I think. I think you just have to. I don't know. I don't know how it works anymore. I don't know how anything works. I thought I knew how the world worked. I thought I knew how going to get groceries worked. Apparently, you need a mask and a face cover and some gloves and a suit jacket and a hazmat. I don't know what's going on anymore in the world. So, anyways, with all that being said, we have an amazing, wonderful guest for you. She's super funny. If any of you guys love just hilarious women who will make your stomach start hurting from laughter, you're gonna love our next guest. So please give a warm welcome to the very funny, very hilarious, very sweet Tara. Tara, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me. I guess with that type of introduction, we're done. Thank you. Where do we go from there? I'm like, yeah, wow, that was nice. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
We are happy to have you. I saw your stuff. I laughed so hard. It was great. How long have you been doing comedy? How'd you get started? Give us your origin story.
I sure will. I've been doing stand-up now for 6 years. My daytime job, I do PR for a television network. And I was one day, the network at the time only had acquired content. So, we were promoting shows that have been, on the air for 30 years or whatever. So wasn't a lot to get publicity for, let's say. So my days were super long. And I thought to myself, I was like, I need to get a hobby. I need to do something on the side. And I knew I really needed a hobby because one day I was in my office and it was 2:00. And I remember thinking, I gotta waste some time. So I'm gonna leave my office. I'm gonna talk to the assistant. I'm gonna go to the ladies' room. I'm gonna talk to her on the way back, and I'm gonna come back to my office. And I did all that, and it was 2:05. And I was like, I gotta find something else to do. So I researched things to do, and I found a comedy class popped up, and I thought, people think I'm pretty funny, so I'll give that a shot. So I took a 6-week comedy class at the Comedy Zone here in Charlotte, North Carolina, where I live. And I remember getting on stage, and there's no greater feeling, I'm sure you guys can attest to this, when you think about something and you write it and you say it and people laugh. And I was like, oh, wow, I might be on to something here. And so I did it, and it's worked out well. I've had the opportunity to travel across the country and perform in front of lots of audiences. And it's been great. So I've been doing it for 6 years, and they keep laughing, and I'll keep coming.
Sarah, do you know who your instructor was in the class?
I had 2 instructors there, Joel Pace and Lynn Cure, Kure, and they were really great. Taught me a lot about the mechanics of comedy. And it's just so funny when you're studying, when you watch it, you're not thinking about it. But then when you study it, you're like, okay, there's a reason why they moved the microphone out of the way and different things like that. And so it's been a really good experience. And the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, it's my home club, and they're really good to me. And I actually host there quarterly a clean comedy brunch.
Nice.
So I do a show 4 times a year, super family friendly. So you can bring your kids. And so people say, oh, I need a babysitter. So you absolutely do not need a babysitter, because at my shows, we have no profanity, vulgarity, or innuendo. And so, my favorite story about that show is my coworker came and he brought I guess she had to be about 8. And she walked in and she had this look like, I don't know why I'm here. I don't know why they brought me. And I'm like hugging everybody. I'm like a big hugger. I don't know This whole not hugging people has killed me, by the way. So I'm a big hugger. So I hug her, and she's like, I don't know why you're touching me. So she just looked like she'd rather be anywhere but that show. And then after the show, she had so much fun, and she came up to me. She goes, "That was amazing." I said, "You had fun?" She goes, "I had so much fun." And so she's kind of my why. You know, I keep that going because her reaction to that, and to be able to have kids be able to laugh at the same thing their parents do, and parents not have to worry about babysitters. So we have like mocktails for the kids and stuff. It's a lot of fun. So the Comedy Zone here in Charlotte is where I got my roots, and now, like I said, have the opportunity to travel across the country and do things, and it's fun. And I don't know if we're jumping into it too early, but I don't know if you're aware that I'm the most recent winner of Miss Jeannie Robertson's Comedy with Class Humor competition.
I did not. Congratulations. I didn't.
Hey.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, that was a treat. So I had the opportunity pre-pandemic to perform with her at the Wingspire Opera House in Dallas in front of a crowd of about 2,000 people.
Wow.
It was amazing.
That is amazing.
There's no greater feeling when you have to wait because there's so much laughter. They told me, they said, you know, make sure you don't step on your laughs because in a room that size, laughter needs to travel the room, which I didn't know. I'm playing like 300 people, and you know, and she and I had, it was so funny when she told me I won the contest. She said to me, "What's the largest audience you've ever played in front of?" And I said, "Well, there's a theater here, and I think they seat about 300." And she said, "Oh, girl, you don't even know what you're about to step into." So it was such a treat to be able to perform in front of about 2,000 people with her. She is phenomenal. She is a pro, and it's funny. I heard it once said, "If you ever want to be a headliner, do what headliners do." So to be able to watch her, just not even on stage, but even before and after, and how she interacts with her fans and the staff of the venue, it was just such a great learning experience. And she was so gracious and kind and welcoming to me. So it was an amazing experience. And I remember when we were leaving, I was hugging her. I was like, "I don't want this to end." You know, it was great. So it's been a fun, this has been a really fun 6 years of doing comedy. I've had a blast.
That's the thing. Comedy should be fun, right? That's the whole point. Is like it should be fun, entertaining, and you should have joy when you do it. And too many comedians don't.
Yeah, and it's funny because it's so humbling too, right? When you perform. I remember performing once, and a girl came up to me afterwards, and she said, "You know, my dad just died, and I wasn't even going to come out, and I came, and I was so happy I did because you really made me laugh." And I'm like, "What do you do with that?" And that just is like, okay, it's a responsibility, and not everybody gets to do this, you know, and the fact that we're called to do this is amazing. And then also I'm killing it with kids. Apparently I remember kids and cats. I have to tell you this. The cat thing is an interesting compliment I recently got, but I remember once I was performing, and kids are rough because they'll tell you, like, if they don't like you, they'll let you know.
Yeah.
But I was performing once, and this little girl, she was about 6, afterwards, she came up to me. She goes, "You were funny." I said, "You thought so?" She goes, "Yeah, you were funny." I was like, killing it with the 6-year-olds. And then recently, someone was considering me for a gig, and she said, she emailed me back, and she goes, "You know how I knew you were funny? Because I was watching your set, and my cat stopped what she was doing and like watched the television." I was like, "I've always loved cats. Good to know they love me back."
I would say that cats are the toughest audience for anything.
Cats are tough. I like cats because they don't care. Like,
yeah.
Their intellect is on a whole other level, and they could take you or leave you. And I feel at one with cats at times.
Yeah, we have a cat. Luke knows. Luke used to come over, and my cat is. He thinks he's a tiger, full-size tiger, but he is clearly not. But he believes that he is. So that's our life. I mean, he lunges at people. He's just a crazy guy, but I love him. He's like my best friend.
Cats are super ambitious. Like you won't put them in a box. They say nobody puts a baby in a corner. Nobody puts.
That's awesome. So 6 years, and when did you win the competition?
I found out I won the competition, I want to say in November, this past November, December.
Can you kind of walk us through that competition, how it works, how you get into it, that kind of stuff?
It's amazing. So every year there's a call for submissions of clean comedians across the country to submit about 5 minutes worth of material. And it's a nationwide contest. And the year before, actually 2 years before, I was named a super finalist. And it's interesting because I don't think I really knew what I was getting myself into when I entered, because a coworker said to me, she says, I think you should enter this. And I was like, okay. And I entered it, and they say you were a super finalist. And what you got with that is a call with Jeannie Robertson. And I kept thinking, I don't know why, but I kept thinking, I think this isn't real. And then finally, when I got on the phone with her, I was like, oh, this is a thing. Like, this is. And what was so funny in that first phone call, she goes, girl, you were funny, but you talk fast. And I remember, and that's the New Yorker in me. And he's like, da 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 da. But what I learned, one of the valuable lessons I learned in that, you know, a lot of times when you're submitting for contests, you're sending in a 5-minute clip, and more often than not, it's like if you're when you're submitting for festivals and contests, a lot of times I'm submitting a video where I was in another contest and I have a small amount of time, so I'm trying to get it all in. And so what happens is you're talking super fast. And so what I learned in that moment is that, okay, slow it down and that sort of thing. So that was a valuable lesson. So that was a couple of years ago, and the next year I entered, I didn't win. And so this late last year, I get an email that said that they wanted to set up a call with her manager. And I said, did I win the contest? And they're like, so she couldn't really tell me, so she didn't tell me. And so I just kept telling everybody, all my friends were like, this is good, right? They wouldn't want to talk to me if it's bad. Like, it's a good thing, right? And everybody's like, just wait for the call. And then they called me on a Saturday. I think it was in December. And I was so excited and just really elated. And one of the things I got to do as one of the contests is I got to pick where I wanted to perform with her. So I went down her schedule, and I had never performed in Dallas. And I said, well, let's see if these jokes travel to Dallas. And the other thing that was attractive is the fact that it was in a venue that seated so many people. And I was like, this will be the largest audience I get to tell jokes in front of. And the thing about my comedy, I do clean comedy, and I do comedy that I like to say travels well in all time zones. So it's always good to be able to do it in Charlotte and New York and Dallas, and people are laughing equally as hard. So that always makes you feel good. So leading up to that, I had a lot of kind of really cool things happen for me. I had a residency at the Broadway Comedy Club in New York. I had auditioned for America's Got Talent. Didn't get that, but that's okay. And just a lot of 2019 was a really good year for me. And so it was funny when people at the end of the year was like, I hate this year. I can't wait for the new year. I'm like, it was actually pretty good for me. So, fast forward all those people now, it's like these first 6 months in 2020, it's been a doozy. So it's been great. And so the days leading up to that were fantastic. And again, it's just been a fun ride.
Now, how did you find out about her competition? Because I didn't know anything about her competition until I spoke to Jared and a couple other people. That just kind of came up. And the one thing I did see about it is they have a lot of female comedians, which is not a common thing. You don't see a lot of female comedians. And the fact that they push that hard is such a good thing, because I'm going to look around before I say this. There's a lot of funny women that don't get their place. They don't get the stage time that they deserve.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's interesting because, like I said, when my coworker told me about the contest a few years ago, because I didn't know anything about it. And then, so that's how I first found out about it. And then every year, so then once I entered it, I was on their mailing list, their email distribution list. So then I would find out more about it. And then it's like, I must win this thing. So I have to enter every year. And so it's a really good contest. And then you see that there are a lot of funny people around the country. And what makes my heart feel so good about the contest is that there are a lot of funny, clean comedians. Like, everybody thinks you have to be vulgar, and you don't. And I always tell people with my clean comedy show that I do here in Charlotte, I said, in order to be in my show, ask yourself, if you can't tell your jokes to your mama or your pastor, you can't do them at my show.
I love that.
I love that there's a platform for clean comedians to shine. And I'm grateful that they've given that to us, and, even more grateful that I won it. So I shall retire and just let someone else try to win it this year. So
What is the name of the contest actually called? Because
it's the Comedy with Class Humor Competition.
Gotcha. And is it open to everybody?
Yeah, as long as you submit clean material, yes.
Right.
So clean 5 minutes, yes. It's open to everybody.
That's cool.
Definitely look for it. And last year, I think they took submissions towards the middle of the year, maybe towards the late summer, early fall, maybe. So I would imagine they'll probably do that again this year. But it's been great, and to come out on top against so many funny comedians across the country was a real honor.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope some people that are listening to this decide they want to submit. That's good. I won't submit. I won't do that. And Luke might submit. Luke is a musical comedian. He plays guitar and stuff.
That.
He's amazing.
Oh,
He's
look!
too humble to tell you that himself.
See, that's why you have that great name, Luke LaCoy. I knew it was something, Luke. I knew you would put something that was different, because you don't have a name like Luke LaCoy just for nothing, you know. That's great. I love musical comedians. I work with one. Oh, Kier. I can't think of his name, but he and I worked together once, and he was hilarious.
They're a little bit funnier and smarter than the rest of us, because they have to figure out how to do music and comedy at the same time and make it work for everybody.
Yeah.
That's a tough one.
I just want to hold the mic and say some stuff. So, more power to you.
Luke, I see you have a question.
How has quarantine been for have you been performing at all? Are you writing at all? How have you been I guess keeping the brain going for comedy?
I'll tell you what's been great for me is I have actually done virtual comedy shows during quarantine. So I actually did one today, which was my 7th one between March and today. And it's really interesting because it pulls on a whole different skill set, within you, because I'm doing a Zoom show and they have it muted so no one's laughing, but yet I can see them laughing. And I'm like, okay. And I was telling the story that I did one show and a guy, I couldn't hear him laughing, but he kept doubling over and falling off his screen. And I was like, that's my guy. So I'm like, I'm focusing on that guy. So I have actually had the opportunity to do comedy. I've been really fortunate. I've had the opportunity to still kind of keep the skills sharp during quarantine. And then humor humor finds you wherever you go. I remember, and I was like, I'm writing a joke about this lady. I don't have it fully down, but I'm writing a joke. So I was in Target a couple of weeks ago, and I like to go early to stores because I feel like the early morning people are the mask people, and those are my people. Like after a certain time, people go no mask, and those are not my people. So I'm with the mask people. So I usually go to Target as soon as they open at 8. And I'm looking, I go for hand sanitizer. I'm looking at a wall full of hand sanitizer, but the sign says you're only able to buy one. Now there's no one in Target hardly. So I'm thinking I could get 2, but then I remember, what is it? Integrity is what you do when no one's watching, that thing. Yep. So I was like, I'll get the 1. So I get the 1 hand sanitizer and I go to the self-checkout. In the back of my mind thinking, no one would have saw me at self-checkout. But again, I digress. I get the 1. So a woman is at the next register and she whispers to me, she goes, they have Lysol in the trial and travel section. And I was like, thank you. And I'm like, I didn't even want Lysol. But since she felt like she needed to be like a co-conspirator, I feel like I need to go get the Lysol. Then it hit me like a ton of bricks. And you can go get another hand sanitizer because you already bought the 1, so you wouldn't be breaking the rules. And I'm like, yeah, I beat the system that day. So it's just like comedy finds you, and you keep writing. And I wrote some, jokes about quarantine and essential business. But it's interesting even with that, because as people are starting to reemerge into the world, those jokes aren't really relevant anymore. The one thing I've stayed away from, I've not done any coronavirus or COVID jokes because I just feel like that's a bit insensitive when you have 110,000 Americans who died from it. It doesn't feel like the right thing to do. So it's kind of fun now to just like, okay, I'm going to have to start retiring these quarantine jokes and kind of get back on track. And I actually, in listening to the interview you guys did with Jared and Jess, I got a lot of good helpful tips from that about switching up your sets and being able to have a set for spring and one for fall. So, it's good. So I've been building up my time while I've been here and just trying to, lengthen out my set. So it's been great. I feel like I've been productive, which is great.
I mean, that's the most important part of this whole thing is like some people are going to emerge from this productive and back on top and at the top of their game. And some people are maybe never going to come back to be doing stand up again. And that kind of makes me sad because I know there's a lot of good comedians who this really hit them hard and there's probably no way they can come back from it, which is terrible because that's my passion. It's the thing I love, right? That's why we have this podcast, why I do the stuff I do is not only because I do stand up, but because I love comedy. I grew up on comedy like my whole childhood. Who are some of your influences for getting you like who did you like to watch, clean or not clean, doesn't matter?
Well, it's funny because I did a virtual show recently at my church, and afterwards I did a Q&A with my pastor, and we talked about influences. And I said, one of the things I like about comedy, regardless of what your style is, I feel like you can learn from everybody. My favorite comedian of all time, who's someone whose material I would never do, is Eddie Murphy. I love Eddie Murphy. It's just, classic. One of my favorite jokes of all time is from Richard Pryor, which I could never, ever repeat, ever. But, I thought he was brilliant. But, I like Chappelle. I think he's super intelligent. I was telling the story. I think Kevin Hart does callbacks, is one of the top people doing callbacks. I always like seeing him do that. I love a gentleman by the name of Ryan Hamilton, who's a clean, Ryan Hamilton. I got to open for him at the Comedy Zone, which was such a treat because I think my first year in comedy, I had watched him in the audience and I was like, this guy's so funny. And then the next year he come to the Zone and I was like, please let me open for him. And so they let me open for him. And it had such a cool moment because, when you, in my daytime job, I do PR. And so what you learn in PR is you don't fangirl out over people. You know what I mean? You're like, it's okay. I'm in the car with Sidney Poitier. It's okay. And I was like, Sidney Poitier, but you try to kind of keep it chill. Although one time I had to do some work with Maureen McCormick. And in my head, I freaked out when I watched her come down the escalator. So it's Marsha Brady, I freaked out. But you tend to just kind of, reserve. So when I'm with Ryan Hamilton, I want to ask him so many questions. And I'm like, but I didn't want to bother him and I didn't know. So finally on the third night, because we had like a three nights worth of shows, third night I was like, I'm going for it. So I was like, I don't want to disturb your process. He goes, I have no process. So he was so generous with information and so on and so forth. And I said to him, I said, I haven't heard you tell your hot air balloon joke, each of the nights we're here. And he goes, I haven't told that joke in a while. And so in the last show, he closed with the hot air balloon. I was like, yes. So, that was fun. So I enjoy him a lot. Michael Jr., I think is really
I love Michael
funny.
Jr.
So
if you know anybody that knows him, we would love to have him as a guest. Like literally, that's like our big grab if we can get it.
Yeah, I have like a 6 degree of separation with someone who may know him.
All right,
so make that work. I'll circle back to you on that. But I was supposed to go to his show. I was set to go to his show in April, and obviously it got canceled. A friend of mine bought it for me as a birthday gift. So, yeah, I have I call a Mount Rushmore of different people. Comedians there. But like I said, what I love is you learn from everyone. And I think it's a mistake if you think I'm clean and I only think, these people are funny because they're clean like I'm clean. And I'm like, no, you learn timing and different things from everything. One of the things in watching Chappelle's special, and I can't remember which it was because he had 2 of them on at the same time. I was fascinated by, he told this long story. And then it paid off at the end, and it went against everything you're taught as a comedian, get to the funny and that sort of thing. I'm like, it's Chappelle. But even watching him do that, I just thought was so masterful. And so I like learning. I'm 6 years in, so I'm still learning. I love watching and just, seeing what I can pick up.
Yeah, no, that's the way to do it. I mean, my big influence for the longest time was Chris Rock, and he influenced my first year of comedy. I had to so badly that a booker had to grab me after the show and say, listen, do not pace the stage. You're not Chris Rocks. You cannot pace the stage. You cannot do that. It's very intimidating and off-putting to the crowd. Because I'm not Chris Rock, right? I'm not doing DC. This isn't Bigger and Blacker. This isn't, this isn't Kill the Messenger. It's none of those. I'm not that guy. But I had a leather jacket. I did the leather jacket thing, literally because those are my influences too. So I get it.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
He told one of his funny, a joke he told that I just think is so hilarious. And I think about it a lot to this day. He said, talk about when people owe you money and they forget that they owe you money. And he goes, how are you going to forget when you've got free money? So if you're walking down the street and you found $1, every time you pass that spot, you're going to be like, I found $1 when I passed this. I just thought it was such a brilliant joke. His mind too. He is just such a clever and funny comedian. Just brilliant.
Genius.
Yeah.
I always do that. I always do his mama joke. Mama. Everybody loves mama, but don't nobody care about daddy.
Exactly.
Like, whenever my kids act up, that's exactly what I say. I'm like, my wife is like, "Geez, Louise,
it's
like,
so
you can't
funny.
watch him anymore."
Okay, so I gotta love him. He's home. Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
So, what are your goals for 2020? I mean, I know some of things are obviously going to be backpedaled or whatever, but what are your goals for the next year or so, or the rest of this year?
I want to venture out and go, again, like I said, traveling these jokes to places I haven't had a chance to travel them to. I enjoy meeting people. So it's going to be interesting to see where we are now, right? Because after a show, I'm like, bring it in, let's hug. Oh my God, let's take all the pictures. And it'll be interesting to see what that looks like now. But I'm looking forward to getting back on the road. I want to grow my social media platforms and kind of, have conversations with people there. But I really am looking forward to getting back out there. And I think that more than anything, I had, obviously, like everyone else, had to go to my website. I was like, well, that show's not happening. That's not happening. We're off that. And it was funny because I had a show that was coming up in July. And I was just getting ready to email them to kind of figure out where it was. Like, yeah, that's not going to happen. So it'll be interesting to see when we get back up and running. My next clean comedy show at the Comedy Zone in Charlotte, if anyone's listening in Charlotte, will be August 16th, assuming that still is going to happen. So yeah, I think that's probably the next time I'll do a live show. But I'm looking forward to getting back on the road. What about you guys? What are you looking forward to?
Luke?
Well, right before shutdown happened, we had a row of shows in Arizona by a buddy of ours, and he has a live podcast, which is a lot of fun. And I would love to get back out there and do those shows, and I just miss performing for a live audience. Yeah. It's we've done a few Zoom shows through quarantine, and luckily we were able to, we had some laughers unmute themselves so we could actually interact a little bit. Mm-hmm. But I miss the interaction.
It's different for mm-hmm. sure. And that I do miss the crowds. And I remember, and you think about where comedy has taken me. I've done it in pizza bars and done it in 2,000 seat opera house. So it's just in everything in between. And I remember telling jokes at that pizza bar, and I'm doing the set, and you know how it is. You can have the whole room, but you see this one person who isn't laughing. Mm-hmm. You're like, why can't I get her? And then finally I said something, and she doubled over, and I stopped the show. I'm like, that's the one? That's the one you needed all this time? So I actually miss that. I miss the interaction with people like that. And I'm not a big crowd work type of person. But, even with that, just getting out of my comfort zone, these Zoom virtual shows have been interesting and taking me out of my comfort zone. And because you have to do a certain amount of ad-libbing and different things. And it's so funny. The words on the screen seem small to me with the names, and I'm ready to call, hey, and I'm like, Jack, hey, Jack, what do you think about that? And I was like, I hope his name was Jack, So, I'm looking forward to just kind of getting around a live audience again, and hopefully we can get there soon.
Yeah, I mean, we were like Luke said, we were supposed to go to Arizona and do some shows. We were supposed to go to the Christian Comedy Association meeting. I think it was in Dallas. Was it in Dallas or outside Dallas, something like that in Texas?
Dallas.
We were supposed to go to that. That obviously got canceled. Yeah. And then
I've yet to go to that.
I know.
Every year it conflicts with a work conference I have, and this was the year I had planned. I was like, I'm gonna not go to the work conference, go to that, and then
what are you gonna do?
I was on, Marty Simpson has brought me on a couple of shows with him. He's been really great to me. So it was going to be fun for me to just go to the conference this year. Unfortunately, it's not going to work.
I'm going to say this. I don't know if Marty listens to the podcast often, but he was so intimidating to me whenever I did the Clean Comedy Challenge. Like, I thought he didn't like me. Like, I would go reintroduce myself to him because I felt like he didn't know who I was. And then one time he just stops me and he goes, "I know who you are." He's like, "It's okay." Because I think he realized, like, I was, like, intimidated by him a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll go, "Hey, Marty, I don't know if you remember me." And he's like, I remember you. Like, I totally know who you are. Like, it's okay.
I tease him because I tell him, I had the chance to work with him. He and I were on a show together, a Comedy Zone show. And then shortly after that show, he reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm doing something in Georgia. Would love for you to come down." And I did, and I thought it was great. And so I tease him about this because he goes, I forget how he said it, and I don't want to misquote him. He goes, "Yeah, people like you because you're black and you're big." And I was like, "Okay, okay." I was like, "You're black, you're big, and a woman." I think that's what he said. You're black, you're big, and a woman. And I was like, "Okay, I'll take it." But he just, he's been great to me, and he did something recently in Charlotte and brought me down for it. So yeah, and that's the other thing I enjoy. It's always such an honor for me when I work with someone and then they bring me back on this show. A gentleman by the name of Billy Ray Bauer, who I had worked with, he's out of Michigan. And he and I first worked together on a gig at the Edgewater Casino in Laughlin, Nevada. And one of the greatest compliments I ever heard in comedy, I'd featured for him. And he said to me after I got off stage, he goes, "You set the table nicely for me." And he's brought me to a couple of shows with him ever since. So that's always a very humbling and an honoring thing when someone does that. So I just want to represent clean comedy well. I want to, make people feel like this is a safe space to come and enjoy and laugh. And, like I said, for my shows I do in Charlotte, you bring the family, let's just have some fun. And, life is heavy. And my whole kind of thing with this is life is heavy. And, I don't know when you walk in that room what you're walking in with. But I just want those few minutes that we're together that maybe you didn't think about that for a few minutes. And like, you got to go back to it, but let's just laugh now. Let's have a little good time. And so I'm grateful that I get to do this and I look forward. I'm honestly super grateful that even in quarantine, I've had the opportunity, like I said, to do 7 virtual shows. And that's just really cool. So, and still writing and I look forward to getting back out there whenever that will be.
Perfect. And where can people find you? Where can they find more of your comedy and kind of get to know you and stuff like that?
Yes, please find me on all social media platforms at Tara Brown Comedy, especially YouTube. I need those YouTube numbers up, people. Come find me on YouTube, Tara Brown Comedy. My website is tarabrowncomedy.com, and I try to, keep it positive and light and, have fun. And then who knows, I'm going to get that joke up about the lady in Target. That's going up soon because I got to work that through, but it was just so funny to me. Yes, but Tara Brown Comedy.
All right, Luke, where can people find you at?
You can find me at Luke LaCoy. I would appreciate the YouTube subs as well. I'll follow you, Tara. So you have at least one more.
There you go. I will also join in on that because I think you're hilarious.
Thank you. And thank you so much for having me. And thank you for this platform because, again, any opportunity where voices of clean comedians get to be heard, I think is a beautiful thing. So thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. That was the goal. So Luke LaCoy on all the things. And then you can find me, jamesdcreviston.com. You can go to comedypreneur.com. You can find me, James D. Creviston on YouTube. And Luke, should we announce it here? Are we announcing it? Are we allowed to announce it? Can we announce it?
Announce what? What are you talking about?
Antics?
Oh, sure.
All right. So anybody who's interested, if you want comedians to write for you, to write commercials, we're really starting with commercials. So like Harmon Brothers style commercials, Antics Media, that's ANTYX media.com. Right now we're getting the website built up, but if you want someone to write funny commercials for you, we have a group of comedians that will do that. We will write funny commercials for you. I am getting Harmon Brothers certified as we speak. That'll be done in the next couple of days or so. And then we are going to be making videos, commercials for people's stuff. We're actually going to do our own 2 commercials. And then I'm going to re-release a new commercial on Fiverr for my commercial writing gig that I do there. And it'll all be done in the Harmon Brothers style. So if you guys want funny stuff, I know now with more than ever, we need good, funny marketing. So get ready for that stuff. So Antics Media. And it's not spelled the normal way. ANTYX media.com. All right. Thank you guys so much. And don't forget to like, subscribe. And if you know what the background is, if you're watching on YouTube and you know this background, write in the comments below. If you don't know what the background is, I'm gonna move a little bit. You can try to look in the background. There are a couple of tips and hints. I think it's on this side or back here. There's 2 little pictures. If you can see those, I'm not gonna tell you what it is, but you know, we'll keep it moving. Maybe we'll keep it moving on up. All right. Have a good one, guys. Thank you.
Yeah, we're about to get clean up in here. So clean your mouth out with a bar of soap and get ready for the clean